Welcome to a new reading vlog. We are a week into October, my favorite month of the year. And in this vlog, we're just gonna keep going on our spooky journey of reading horror novels and doing fun stuff. So reading goals in this one is that I would like to read these two books. First up is the Valancourt Book of World Horror Stories, and this is a collection of translated horror stories. So we've got stories from all over the world in here, and I would like to kind of just read through them slowly, do one or two a day. So looking forward to that. My main read will be Don't Say We Didn't Warn You. I haven't started it yet, but once I do, we can dive in and talk about what it's all about. Currently it is Saturday and I would like to do two fun things today. The first is baking some Halloween cookies. I'm not doing like, proper baking. I found those like store-bought ones that have little spooky images on them, so we're gonna make those this evening. And also I want to try and set up my VHS TV and watch one of my old VHS tapes and set up kind of like a spooky blanket fort situation so I can get cozy on this Saturday evening and watch an old favorite. So let's dive right in. Time for a little weekend update. It is now Sunday. It is a long weekend here in Canada because Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to an extra day of reading and relaxing. Also finishing up my hair. I wanted to make the tips kind of like a purpley pinky color, but I had to strip the black out of it. So right now it looks a little ridiculous. But hopefully tomorrow when I actually put the pink in, it'll look not as insane. So I've been doing quite a bit of reading today. I read the first short story in this, which is the translated short story collection. The first one was by Luigi Musolino and it was called Yoronda. I may be pronouncing that wrong. I thought it was spectacularly creepy. Very much enjoyed that first story, 5 out of 5. And then I've also started Don't Say We Didn't Warn You. So let me just run through what it's about really quick. So a young woman thinks she has escaped her past only to discover that she's been hovering on its edges all along. She and her younger sister bide their time in a dilapidated warehouse in a desolate town north of New York City. Their parents settled there with dreams of starting an art commune. But after the girl's father vanishes, all traces of stability disappear for the family, and the girls retreat into strange worlds of their own myth-making and isolation. As the sisters try to survive their increasingly dark and dangerous adolescences, they break apart and reunite repeatedly, orbiting each other like planets. Both endure stints at the Veld Center, a wilderness camp where troubled teenage girls are sent as a last resort, and both emerge more deeply warped by the harsh outdoor survival experiences they must undergo and the attempts by staff to break them down psychologically. With a mesmerizing voice and uncanny storytelling style, Ariel Delgado Dixon's Don't Say We Didn't Warn You is a remarkable debut about two women who must struggle to understand the bonds that link them and how their traumatic history will shape who they choose to be as adults. The first chapter was really strong. We start off with the younger sister, Fawn, finding a wrapped up package under a bridge that turns out to be a severed foot, and she keeps it. The main character, the older sister, hasn't been named yet. I'm not sure if she'll be named throughout or if this is one of those unnamed main character stories. We're kind of jumping back and forth between her timeline. The sort of main timeline is her maybe in present day, where she is dating a much older woman and is living in her old home, but the woman doesn't know that. Basically, her mom bought this kind of dilapidated warehouse back in the day, and the kids were raised there, and when they moved out, the warehouse was turned into kind of like fancy condos, and our main character sees a woman living in them and kind of stages a meet cute, and the two of them fall in love, and now she's living in her old home, but her girlfriend isn't aware of that. And we haven't heard much from Fawn yet, the younger sister, but she seems to be kind of in the background. She seems to always be kind of a threat to our main character. They also haven't gone too much into the wilderness camp yet, the Veld Center. That part I'm really looking forward to because I find those programs fascinating, and I don't know how they exist and why they exist still. But I'm interested to read more about the girls' experiences at those camps. So yeah, 59 pages in, thoroughly enjoying myself. And I might read another second story from this evening. We'll see. I am heading over to my friend Amy's house in a couple hours to hang out. So we'll see how much reading I can get done before and after. First of all, it totally worked. Yay! It kind of matches the couch. In direct sunlight, it's much more pink than red, but yeah, I'm proud of myself. I've been trying to do that for a long time and it finally worked, so yay! Reading wise, I am enjoying the books that I was reading, but I was feeling very much in a fantasy mood today. Mood reading, what are you gonna do? So I picked up A Far Wilder Magic, which was one of the first chapter reads I did last week and had intrigued me, and I'm now over 50 pages in, and it's definitely hitting the spot. It's definitely what I was in the mood to read, which is great. So this story is about a young woman named Margaret and a young man named Wes. And in this fantasy world, there are a few different sort of religions, but all of them have this same god. that has created these kind of demon entities, and they cause a lot of trouble, but each religion kind of defines on why those demons exist. In some of the religions, it's because, you know, they're meant to sow destruction, and in other religions, they're meant to be worshipped. But in this world, they are real. And one of them, the last remaining one of these demons, has shown up in Margaret's town. And whenever one of them shows up, there's like a big hunt, like a big fox hunt, because it looks like a big fox. And no one's ever been able to kill this creature before. In this world, there's also alchemy. So people are alchemists, they have a bit of magic in them. And one of the things is when you kill this big demon creature, you can actually use part of it to create the Philosopher's Stone, which will grant you immortality. But pretty much in all the religions, that's unheard of actually doing. Now, Margaret's mother has been trying to do that her whole life, but she keeps sort of disappearing for months at a time and leaving Margaret alone. You know, when we meet her, I think she's like 17 or 18, but her mom's been leaving her alone for long chunks of time for most of her life. So, you know, Margaret is a very kind of lonesome introvert, and she thinks if she kills this demon, then her mom will definitely return because she will have the ingredients to make the Philosopher's Stone. Now, Wes is a very sweet young man who is very guarded emotionally. His father passed away when he was very young, and he is kind of responsible for his whole family, and he has like 4 sisters and his mom, and he really wants to be an alchemist, but he keeps fucking up and he gets fired from his apprenticeships. So Margaret's mom is basically his last resort. And when he shows up, of course, he realizes Margaret's mom is not around, but Margaret lets him stay until she returns. And it seems that the story is going to be that, you know, Margaret and Wes team up to participate in this hunt, because Margaret, of course, wants to do this for her mother, and Wes would like to do it for his family because he will be able to get some money if he manages to kill this animal, and also the kind of respect that he feels like he's missing. And I believe this is very much going to be a enemies to lover story, which are my favorite in fantasy. These two young adults are definitely butting heads a lot, but they're both very sweet individuals, and I'm really loving the development of what we're learning about, you know, why Wes is the way he is, why Margaret is the way she is, and they're just two very guarded emotionally. You know, they've got emotional barriers up, and I think it's going to be really sweet when they manage to hopefully break each other's barriers down. So I'm going to get back to reading this. It is Canadian Thanksgiving today, so at some point I'm going to cook myself a little Thanksgiving dinner. Nothing crazy, just a little ham. But yeah, that's really all the plans I have today. Just reading and relaxing on the couch. I am completely obsessed with this book. It's like exactly what I've been looking for since I finished the new Stephen King book. I feel like every book I've read since then has been fighting against a reading slump, and I have to kind of like convince myself to pick it up, but this book is doing it for me, and I don't ever want to stop reading it. I'm already 126 pages in, and it's so good. The relationship between Wes and Margaret is so special. It's just developing. You know, they pretty much were irritated by each other for most of the book so far, but they've both registered to fight in the hunt and try and kill this demon. And Wes is doing it for his family, and Maggie's doing it for her family. And they've sort of formed this really sweet connection that's starting to blossom into maybe a little crush. And I love it. I love these characters. It's so good. I'm going to go read more. I wanted to do a quick book mail update because I got this today. I don't know what it is, but it says it's from St. Martin's Publishing Group, which is also a division of Macmillan, I think. So let's see. Okay. what do we have? Ooh, this is the new Christopher Golden book. Yeah. So I think this comes out January. Yes, okay. On sale January 24th. And it's pitched as a suburban family drama with Stranger Things style 80s nostalgia to create a truly terrifying night that will have you sleeping with the lights on long after you finish reading. Here's the thing. I feel like a lot of publishers pitch a lot of their books as Stranger Things vibes because they know that most people love Stranger Things. When in reality, most of those books do not give Stranger Things vibes. They just happen to be set in the 80s. I don't know, just a pet peeve of mine. You can be a horror book set in the 80s that does not make you Stranger Things. Okay. Anyway, here's what the book's about. It's Halloween night, 1984, in Coventry, Massachusetts, and two families are unraveling. Up and down the street, horrifying secrets are being revealed, and all the while mix in with the trick-or-treaters of all ages. 4 children who do not belong are walking door to door, merging with the kids of Parmenter Road. Children in vintage costumes with faded, eerie makeup. They seem terrified and beg the neighborhood kids to hide them away to keep them safe from the cunning man. There's a small clearing in the woods now that was never there before, and a blackthorn tree that doesn't belong at all. These odd children claim that the cunning man is coming for them, and they want the local kids to protect them. But with families falling apart and the neighborhood splintered by bitterness, who will save the children of Parmenter Road? That sounds amazing. I kind of want to read it right away. Like, it's such an October book. It's set on Halloween night. But I will save it because in December, when it's Christmas and it's not my vibe, I can read a little Halloween vibe instead. So I haven't been very inspired lately for Halloween costumes. You know, got a lot going on. But I was singing my way through the Heathers musical the other night, and I was like, why don't you just go as like Veronica Sawyer? Like a mix between the 80s movie version of Veronica with the musical version of Veronica, which kind of makes like a kind of gothy business casual Heather. So I think I'm gonna try it. I think I have all the clothes that I need. I definitely have some bows. So yeah, I'm gonna dig through the closet right now, see if I can put together a little Heather's costume, and then that will be my easy peasy Halloween costume. Let's see if it works. All right, what do we think? It's very put together from a closet, but I think it'll do. Got my, I don't have a blue ribbon, so I use a little blue headband. I have the little blue bow and the blazer and the skirt and of course the socks. Very important. The very short skirt, also very important. So yeah, here we go. Veronica Sawyer without having to spend a dime. Okay, I wanted to talk more about Don't Say We Didn't Warn You because I've been mostly reading this for the past 2 days and I'm almost finished it. What I'm not enjoying so far is that there's a lot of timeline jumping, which usually isn't a big deal for me, but I would say the first kind of like half of the book, the timeline jumps are really sudden and there's like large gaps between storylines. So sometimes when you jump back into a storyline, you barely remember what happened because it's been so long in the book since you've read this part of the story. So I don't really like that, but this sort of second half of the book seems to be much more focused on our main character's time at this camp and more focused on her younger sister. And it seems very much that the narrative is trying to show us that Fawn, her younger sister, is definitely a problem. We don't really know what, maybe sociopath, maybe even psychopath, but there's all these kind of strange hinted at moments where it looks like Fawn is like very manipulative, has been harming animals, definitely been manipulating her older sister, but it's really hard for our main character to prove, and so in turn it's hard for us to be proved while we read it because she doesn't have any real specific examples. It's just the kind of general like version of events, and you're like, something seems wrong here. As far as our main character goes, still unnamed, so I'm assuming this whole story she'll be unnamed. And I can't tell if I should believe her version of events or not, because she's also quite damaged as well. Maybe not so much as Fawn, but also there's no concrete proof, whereas our main character has many moments that are a little problematic, where if we were to believe her, Fawn has kind of set up these events, these traps for her to fall into, but it could also be her doing it but then kind of blaming Fawn, if that makes sense. So it's quite a complicated read, and right now I would say it's about a 4 out of 5, maybe a 3 out of 5, but I've got, I think, let's see, so I've got just under 100 pages left, and I'm gonna try and read that this morning and finish this one because I'm really interested to see how this wraps itself up, if it does. There's also like the present day story that we haven't touched in a long time, and that in itself is problematic. So I don't know, this book has got me feeling all kinds of ways, which is obviously the point of the book, and in which case the author has done a great job, but it's not as enjoyable, you know, as a kind of thriller or a horror or fantasy, because you're being manipulated while you're reading it, which is, I mean, that's a fantastic way of writing, but it's hard to read. I finished. All done. I would say 3.5 out of 5, I think. It was very much like this. You know, like it was like really good in some parts, and then kind of boring, and then confusing, and then not so good, but then really good. It was a lot of ups and downs, which it's kind of fitting for the story. So done, finished. Woo! So right now I'm gonna do some meal prepping, and then I'm going to try and finish A Far Wilder Magic. I'm just over halfway through, loving every word of it. Finished A Far Wilder Magic, and that means it's time to wrap up this vlog. This was a great little fantasy novel. It was definitely more about the relationship than the hunt itself, which I didn't realize, and that's fine. I really enjoyed the relationship, but I did find kind of near the end I was like, there's only 30 pages left, like how's the hunt gonna fit into this? But when the hunt actually happened, it was very exciting and very dramatic, and it was, you know, a sweet happy ending, and the two of them were really fun to read and watch grow and fall in love and let their boundaries down. It was very, very cute. And This is Alison Saff's second novel. Her first novel I love, and I really love this too, and I cannot wait to see what she writes next. She's definitely going to be an auto-buy author for me for sure. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one, and I love all of you.